Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, and welcome once again to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. I'm your weekly host, Brother James Muhammad, and I'm honored to have on the show Sister Patricia Lee.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sister. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for
now
having me.
I'm gonna rename you Queen Motherly. All right, that all right? All right.
Thank you.
Well,
King.
first of all, thank you for coming to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. And I've been seeing you around in town. I had a chance to meet you at the Stone Awards. And when I spoke to you, I said, I have to have this young lady on the show.
Yes, thank you. And forgive us for taking so long to get back with you. It's almost time for the Stone Awards again.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Patricia, tell us something about yourself. Now, I know you wear many hats. You are a talk show host, you're a poet, you're a writer, you're a revolutionary, and you work with many grassroots organizations here in the Shelby County area. But tell us something about Sister Patricia Lee and the radio show first also.
Well, I can say that's one of the areas where we began.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of our beginning, notwithstanding that I met many people that were connected with Kwanzaa, Memphis Kwanzaa International and Mid-South Kwanzaa International. And that, from those organizations and the Java Complex, not to forget our dear mother, Sister Tony Britner, that has connected me with so many other people, that I met Dr. Isaac Richmond through Miss Mother Maxine Thomas. And Dr. Isaac Richmond had a radio talk show that came on 1600 AM WMQM every Sunday morning at 11 AM. And after a while, he had me to be a guest. And after a while, I started co-hosting on the Moment of Truth broadcast. So my journey seemed to have taken off from there. I began to write as he encouraged me, and each and every time we got ready to leave, write Patricia. I had no thoughts or inclinations of ever wanting to be an author, ever wanting to write anything. But from his continual coaxing on August 24, 2013, as we sat up at 3 o'clock in the morning, we began to write. And we have been writing ever since. Therefore, we have published book 1 and volume 2 of my Tru-Sense, and we have 8 more volumes in the making. So we've been writing every week. We don't write just say every day, but sometimes we might write 2 or 3 a day. And we try to date each page. Each time we write the date at the top of the page, and we sign off each one with I am Patricia Lee, and that's my Tru-Sense. The significance of us writing the date at the top of the page was that so future generations, say 10, 20 years from now, they could look back and see what else was going on around that time, and they would know exactly, they would have a foundation, a point, a reference, that if they picked up a final call, they'll see what else was going on in the nation during that time. So the dates were very significant to me, as I was one of those persons too. Wanted to know when books were written. And having found out that sometimes people carry their books for years and years and years before they release them. So we're grateful for the creators allowing us to do it in the way that they have been done. And so starting with the Moment of Truth broadcast, now we have sprang to our own radio broadcast. The My Tru-Sense broadcast started this year on 1600 AM, and we come on at 5 PM on Saturdays.
5 p.m. on Saturday.
Yes.
We'll be tuning in.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question now.
Yes.
You wear many hats. You spoke of Kwanzaa, and that every year. Tell us something about that, and how can we get involved with the Kwanzaa organization?
Okay, well, unfortunately, we just lost one of the mothers, Queen Mother Kaya Natambu, who was the president of Memphis Kwanzaa International, which her mother started about almost 30 years ago, Queen Ajawa Natambu. And Mother Kaya Natambu just transitioned, had her memorial a couple of weekends ago. But we also have Mid-South Kwanzaa here in Memphis. And Kwanzaa being almost 50 years old in the States, started by Malana Karinga. And for many of us not being familiar and not knowing about them, I'm so happy to say that we have also started the Umoja Foundation, which I am the chairperson, and Umoja being the first principle of the Nguzo Saba surrounding the Kwanzaa celebration, meaning unity, we are adamant about uniting. That's our mission. The family, the nation, and the race. Unity, unity, unity. For we know that we can do nothing without unity. We got to start there first. And so I've been privileged to meet so many other organizations collaborating and just making whatever needs to happen, happen.
All right. Now, my true sense, message of love, hope, and healing. What is the inspiration behind this?
Wow. The inspiration behind it. I have to give all credence to the Most High and, of course, the Ancestors. The Ancestors is a name that I have given to the ancestors.
Yes, ma'am.
Because these writings, I have to say, were channeled through me. If you realize what I'm saying, when I'm saying channeled through me. So I just take the pencil and paper and write. And then we afford it to type and, put on the flash drive and all that good stuff. But it seems as if so many people that have went on before us may not have had the opportunity to get their works in the universe, to share with the world. So in many regards, I feel like that I have been chosen to be that vehicle, to be the voice for many that may not have been fortunate enough to get their works out. So in that regard, we are most happy to be that vehicle.
Now I'm looking at some of the titles. Where are we today?
Wow. Where are we today? And that reminds us of Dr. King, right?
Yes,
where do we go from here and all of that? And so looking at, with his 50th year anniversary assassination coming up next year, exactly where are we 50 years later from then? How much have you seen change? Or is things basically the same? Are we much better off? Or have we gone back? And it's according to who you ask those questions to. The answers that you will get,
Well, when you look at the current events on the news, you see the NFL kneeling down on one knee. The race issue seems like we keep revisiting it year after year, and the relationship between black youth and police. It seems like we've been stagnant for a while.
I agree. I agree that we have been stagnant. I think that, I wrote a Tru-Sense the other day surrounding police. The title was Police. And what I saw was, when I was on my way home that particular day, one was taking radar, in the neighborhood. And what I thought is like, crime doesn't pay enough. You got to, focus on the other citizens too. That's, to get some money or whatever you're doing. You got to meet quotas and all that to overstand. But what I thought about also was that wouldn't it be so nice and grand, I guess you could say I'm idealistic, right? That if police officers had other things to do or did other things in the community. Now my vision was on this wise. It would be great to see a police officer standing around an ice cream truck buying ice cream for all the children that came running up to get ice cream, right? And they would also be building relationships with the youth. And thereby the youth would begin to know them and they would begin to know each other. Therefore they would begin to have respect one for the other. And then I said, well, we started doing things like that. We may not have any need for police officers. So.
Right. Okay, I see. They should be a protecting force in our community, not an oppressive force in the community. We should never fear the men in blue. I know there's good police out there, but we should never fear them. Now, when you look at our condition, we can say we're stagnant, but we should take now more of the blame. You think so? Because someone have proven to us we're not going to change.
Well, that's according to who the we is, who you're talking about, who is we, because that's, like you said, that could be both races. I have the elders, especially when they focus on or talk about the Caucasian European race, for example. They say they are not going to change. They are going to be the same. The racism is just as bad. It's just done in different ways today. You may not go around hanging, but you're hanging in other ways, whether it be high interest rates or just whatever. You have other forms of enslavement now. And a lot of those things I don't overstand to a point, but it's according to who's talking. And I think that's another thing that my Tru-Sense does. It allows one to see another perspective. And this is life, I would say, as it has been given to me, and I give it back to you. And I have a couple of pieces, and one that's a favorite by especially Brother Martin Grubbs that we call Butch, that he liked so well, called Embrace Me, that's in our second book, that talks about I'm a product of you. You know, so whatever I am, you made me. You know, so you need to love me. It's what you did or didn't do. You know, I could only give back what's been put in, right?
That's right.
So we all should bear responsibility. But, you know, just like in the garden story, everybody want to point fingers at everything else is easy instead of stopping right here. And I'm thankful that I'm one, I don't mind taking responsibility, or I don't mind taking the blame for anything.
So, if you strip a people of their names, their language, their culture, and their God, to free them, you have to give all of that back to them the proper way, right? When you say, I'm a product of what you made me, how did you make me this way? Well, you took my names, you took my language, you took my culture, you took my God from me. Now what you have is an empty shell. So now you have deposited your mind inside of me. So in a sense, I'm you. So why not accept me? But it seems like we're not being accepted. We've been made totally in the likeness of the Caucasian people here in America. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. I agree with that to some extent, because going back, you would say that back to responsibility.
There you go.
We have to know. First, we made them. You know, I am the mother of all creation, all the civilizations. So we are responsible, the black man and black woman, for all of this, in my point of view. And so what I see today is like, we made the European race, so whatever they got in them, they got out of us. And you know that scripture that talks about you become twofold the devil? That, you know. And so that's what they did after they did what they did to go and subdue the whole world or whatever by killing and murdering and so forth. And then after they emptied us and put back into us their cultures and everything else, now we're twofold.
So that's what you see in the street every day on the news.
That's what we see in the street every day on the news, right?
I agree with that totally. Now looking at some of these titles, Giant in the Land. Kind of like that one.
Giants in the Land. Giants in the Land, you know, it takes us back to I was born in that Baptist church, right? And we think about the story of David and Goliath. And just as it was a giant in the land then, it's a giant in the land now. And the giant in the land then, you know, we refer to as Goliath, but our giants today come in other forms. Our giants, for many of us, we may say, hey, start with the government, start with whatever giant that's oppressing you. And the Davids are here too. They're here too. It's the same thing, you know, same thing. So it's just like, beware, you know, be conscious of your role, you know. And just because you've gotten by and gotten away so long, reaping and sowing is so true. What you give out, you get back. You know, in many ways. It reminds me of, I believe it was Hezekiah. And it surprised me when I ran across that passage. He was like, well, okay, as long as it don't come in my lifetime. I was like, what?
It's going to visit your children.
Right. But it was like, it's okay, as long as it ain't not me. You know, as long as it's not me. And I'm like, well, wow, that was cold.
So, when you look at America, their forefathers put us in a condition The Bible says, I'm going to vex the world with a foolish people. I'm going to annoy the world. Look what they made out of us. Now, they're not around, like he said, as long as they don't come in my lifetime. But your children are around to either correct the problem or reap the benefits from the problem or suffer from the problems. And what you see in our community, you know, I can watch the news, and I know this might be wrong, but I feel sorry for the young brother who they catch who's robbing. I feel sorry for the young brother who might have murdered somebody, because I don't look at the actual crime. I look at the cause. And Dr. Martin Luther King said we can, in so many ways, you know, you look at the sin, but what about the darkness that created the sin, out of which the sin comes?
You notice, well, a lot of us, like myself, don't really watch, quote unquote, the news anymore, because it shares so much negativity, especially in light of what may be referred to as African American or melanated or dark tone people.
The first 5 stories gonna be us doing something negative.
Right, and so, you know, it's like the more you feed into that, the more energy you give it. So a lot of us rather not even give that any energy. And we know what you're doing anyway is that's you're doing what you do, making us look like we are so bad and so bad, but you never talk about why or how come it may be. But we take that same news when a quote unquote European man or woman do something, the first thing you want to holler about it, they were mental or something. But in the other case, we know injustice is injustice. That's why it's called injustice, and we're mostly the ones that are being done unjustly. You know, so.
You know, now that you say that, you know, experiment. You're sitting in the lunchroom with a group of guys. It'll be 7 black guys. The news come on. I listen to a response, and usually the response is negative about what some young black man is doing. Now, I'm different because I'm on a different type of teachings, I should say, on another mindset. So I feel sorry for him and argue his point, meaning say just lock him up.
Right.
He'll never be any good. So I'm inspired to go into the prison to reform our brothers because we look more at the cause.
And you know, the other thing that sort of gets me with those type of comments that those other brothers that may be making around you, it seems like they don't really realize that they're looking at themselves.
Exactly.
They don't know that they're talking about themselves. You know, that's the same way you want the brother to say about you, because you don't know what drive people to do things they do. And so, but we don't want to take those things into account. We just want to think everybody's just low down, dirty, whatever. A lot of times that's not the case at all. You know, so I'm liking unto you, have a different mindset when it comes to those type of situations. And I think, like you said, it's according to the teachings that we have, and unfortunately a lot of people don't have. And I'm so glad that you have the self-improvement show that people can begin to see more positive things and begin to change their mindsets, listening to shows such as yours. And so I thank you so much for that.
Yes, ma'am. Brothers and sisters, you're just now tuning in to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. I'm sitting here with my sister, Patricia Lee, and I changed her name to Queen Mother Lee. If she don't mind. But you are a queen and a mother. And we thank you for all you do in the community. Now, out of order.
Out of order. Out of order, I believe, sort of talks about if anybody came to visit America, we probably all need to have an out of order signs on the back of us.
Chaos. Okay. Confusion.
Yeah. That's what they probably would see.
With the new president, oh my God. But you know what? Now that you say that, I spent 5 years in the military.
Okay.
And I always recommend to leave the country and then look back at America from that country. Then you'll see what you're talking about. And then look at yourself, because we have a stamp on our back stating made in America. The arrogance that we carry when we go to other countries, not understanding their condition, not understanding how war put them in those conditions and embargoes, and we go around with our military and we get off the ship and we misuse their women and we buy the cheap products that's been made by America over there that they can only sell for 50 cents, but they'll sell over here for $200. So I understand what you're saying. So you should leave America. Go look. We do look out of order.
Yes. Yeah.
We look out of order. So, you know, I learned that in Hong Kong, in the Philippines, and places like that. And I came back with a different way of thinking. You know, you never know until you leave and look at the condition of the other, but also look at the cause.
Wow. You know, that's amazing, too, because I've never left the country. Mm-hmm. You know, I haven't been...
You left spiritually, though.
Okay. Yeah. That's why I have to give our credence to the ancestors, you know? Mm-hmm. Ain't no way in the world, you know. Yeah. This little space that I'm obtained in, you know, because our environment, this little area, is basically all we know. You know, and so that's all our children see. That's all they know, you know. And if they are not exposed to the outside, quote unquote, outside world, they don't know it exists.
What inspires you to love, to heal, to work with the community?
I think that's just innate. It's just a born. It's just a given. You know, our first teachings were engulfed around God is love. So what else could we be? But that, if we are going to be in the image of, you know, our Creator, and it's just love. I'm reminded of my publisher, James Winford Powell, with I Am Press Inc. He has some affirmations, and in his affirmation, he speaks about packets of love. Like, love is all we have, and love is all we have to give. You know, and we give love daily, whether we give it in our time, energy, money. You know, we're giving packets of love. So I'm just grateful to have a spirit of love, because it's all about love, and I believe those things that said, you know, love conquers all. I truly believe love conquers. It heals. You know, a lot of times I think we walk around with our, like you said, arrogancy, our we more than somebody type attitudes, rather than knowing that, hey, I'm just a reflection of you. You know? And we like to say things like, woe is me, but for the grace of God. You know what I'm saying? But to actually put ourselves in the place of, and know we're just a step away. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. Now, message of love, hope, healing. When you look at the youth today, what comes to your mind?
When looking at the youth today, you know what comes to my mind? And it's just like looking at, you alluded to our president earlier. Looking at the youth today, it's like, you know, in the biblical text, God mentioned that He made Pharaoh for such a time as this, right? And so that's what I get from Trump. He put him in a place just for a time as this.
We right here on that one.
And just like the youth, hey, they doing what they're, quote unquote, for lack of them, they're supposed to be doing in this time. He's and I often like to allude to, he's bringing up a nation. A nation is rising up. An army is rising up. You know, so it's like, I ain't mad at nobody. You know what I'm saying? Do what you do. Do you. It's your mission, it's your purpose. Do you. Don't try to knock. You know, I remember growing up telling my children, you know, we have so many different religions. I used to always tell them, don't knock anybody's religion. Had you been born in China or wherever, you'd be doing the same thing they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So don't even go there. So, you know, I just love people, our young men. A lot of things, you know, may hurt us that they do out of ignorance. I say out of ignorance because a lot of things may be unwarranted, you know, petty. But like I said, I just see it again as an army coming up. We have a bolder nation. It's sort of like, you mentioned the forefathers a while back, and the children today, a lot may not want to take responsibility of what the forefathers did. You know what, in one of my Tru-Senses I said, I cannot be held I can't be held accountable or responsible. Because the ancestors definitely live here. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Brothers and sisters, you're just now tuning in. Welcome to the Self-Improvement Talk Show. I'm sitting here with Sister Patricia Lee, Queen Mother Lee, as I call her. We're discussing her book, Tru-Sense, a message of love, hope, and healing. What can we expect in the future from Sister Patricia Lee?
Well, you know, like I say that my Tru-Sense, book 1, I refer it to as the milk. Mm-hmm. The milk of the word, right? And my Tru-Sense volume 2 gives you a little meat. Mm-hmm. And volume 3 is on the way. Hopefully maybe out before 2017 is over. And I'll call it a little dessert.
Okay. And
we have 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on the way. And so I'm going to call that the whole buffet. Okay. So when you get a collection of all of these books, which I must say, let me thank everybody that has my Tru-Sense in their homes or in their businesses. They make great, they look good. They look good in your living rooms, dens, or wherever you have them. And I just thank you for allowing us to be a part of your life. I ran into a young lady today, Sylvia, and she told me that she went over one of her friends' house. And she said, I saw both of your books there. And I'm like, well, great. Thanks for letting me know that.
You know, and it's interesting because the first surah revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the cave is Surah 96. And it starts off by saying, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, read in the name of thy Lord. Read. And that's a lost art from us. We don't want to read. They took it from us. Now, for us, they used to say, if you want to hide it from us, put it where? In a book. So we have to read more. Reading relaxes you. Reading enlightens you. And everything. So I'm going to tell everybody, I'm going to read the book. And I'm using it as part of my lectures also. And I'm going to take it to the prison also.
Thank you. I
promise you that.
Thank you so much.
When I read my book, I'm going to donate it to a brother in the prison also.
Oh, I'm going to give you one to donate.
So, and I know they're going to read it.
Thank you.
So, sister. So what, if you had to say something to the Shelby County community, Memphis community, what would you say to them today?
Well, first, let me thank those two that have been using my Tru-Sense daily. A lot of people have shared with me that they use it as part of their morning devotional, mm-hmm. along with their Bible or whatever else they read. And you just mentioned reading being a lost art. I would like for us to please encourage one another to read, to continue to read, and I mean physical books. I know a lot of us want to go to the e-books and the electronic devices, but we need to let our children know the importance of having physical copies that you can go back and pick up anytime. Mm-hmm. Because when these systems, not if, when they go down and you are not able to use them, you will still have your physical works in hand. So I just like to encourage you to please continue to read by all means necessary.
Read to your children, read to your family, turn off the telephones and iPads. We are all addicted to the telephones and iPads. And I remember I used to work for a Dr. Malmstrom. He never had a TV in his house. But Dr. Malmstrom, he had plenty of books and always was reading. So we have to read a little bit more too and set a good example for our children. Sister, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I know you're gonna have. Now, also, let me let you, before you go, there's a spiritual aspect to this book also. Right?
Definitely.
So when you said that people use with their morning devotion, you know, get up 5 a.m, get your coffee, say your prayer, and open up the book to read. Huh?
Yes, because actually, and what does happen, my Tru-Sense is designed in a way, it seems like whatever you open up to, open it up.
Okay.
What did you turn to?
Have my cake and
have my cake and eat it too. Have my cake and eat it too. It's like whatever you turn to, that's exactly what you need for that moment. Mm-hmm. And I also find that many people that read my Tru-Sense or hear them being read, a lot of times you'll hear them say, My Tru-Sense is also a book that provokes thought. It causes you to think, which is another art. Another art that we don't use quite often. So I would like for us to begin to think. You know, we often see a picture with Martin, Malcolm, and now I believe Obama's on it and say they were thinkers. Mm-hmm. And so we need to...
It was readers first, though.
Readers first.
So we're going to close it out by saying, I am Patricia Lee, And that's my true suicide. So thank you, Mother Lee, for coming on the show. And thank you all for tuning in once again to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. Stay tuned because my sister's going to be coming on our Saturday show on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. New Woman, New Nation.
Yes.
And you know, the Self-Improvement Show comes on Mondays at 5:30. But be sure to watch the Honorable Mentalist Farrakhan on Thursdays at 4 p.m. on Channel 17, Comcast Cable Memphis. Until next week, peace be unto you.